The Fire Year in Review is a comprehensive look back at the previous fire year to learn from both our mistakes and our successes. Whether you're a first-year firefighter or a seasoned fire manager, the hope is that you take something away that will help you make good decisions in the field. The National Interagency Fire Center in Boise, Idaho, is the nerve center of wildland fire, with 9 federal agencies working together to support wildland firefighting efforts across the nation. The National Interagency Coordination Center, or NIC, supports firefighters and incident managers with the resources they need to accomplish their mission. One of the most crucial resources is information. And every year, the NIC collects and compiles data from the previous fire year to produce the Wildland Fire Summary and Statistics Annual Report. This document includes information from the Situation Report, the Interagency Resource Ordering Capability System, and various incident status reports to provide fire managers with the knowledge they need to make informed decisions. Let's take a look at the 2024 Annual Report. 2024 was an exceptional and long-lasting fire season, with a record number of crews managing numerous large fires well into October. The number of wildfires was slightly above average, but the total acres burned were far above average. Nationally, there were almost 65,000 wildfires that burned over 8.9 million acres, more than 3 times the number of acres burned in 2023. 7 out of 10 geographic areas saw above-average fire activity. The southern area reported the highest number of wildfires, and the northwest area reported the most acres burned. There are 2 interesting comparisons here. Although the northwest area saw the greatest number of acres burned, it accounted for just 7% of overall wildfires, meaning the northwest area had a disproportionate number of large fires. The second notable comparison is that the difference in total acres burned between the northwest and southern areas was less than 100,000 acres, due in no small part to the record-breaking Smokehouse Creek Fire, which burned over 1 million acres in Texas and Oklahoma. Another record was the number of crews mobilized. In 2024, the NIC fulfilled 1,839 crew requests, more than any previous year and far above average. And because 2024 was such an active fire season with so many large fires, U.S. military and international resources were mobilized in support of firefighting efforts. Service members from Joint Base Lewis McChord were deployed to the Boise National Forest, and fire personnel from Canada, Australia, and New Zealand assisted in the Northwest and Great Basin areas. Overall, the 2024 fire season started slowly, with the exception of the southern area. We entered National Preparedness Level 2 on May 21st, Level 3 on June 28th, and then Levels 4 and 5 in July. While the timing of those progressions is not unusual, of particular note is that in 2024 we entered PL5 for a 3rd time on October 8th. This was the first time in history we reached PL5 3 times in 1 year. We had not reached PL5 since 2021. In 2024, there were a total of about 65,000 wildfires. 11% were natural, and 89% were human-caused. These are historically typical numbers. Generally, about 9 out of 10 wildfires are human-caused. The 8.9 million acres burned were split almost evenly, with 48% natural and 52% human-caused. The following sequence compares the number of wildfires and the number of acres burned in 2023 and 2024 for each geographic area. The pop-outs display a significant fire in the respective area. From 2023 to 2024, Alaska saw a 9% increase in wildfires and 112% more acres burned. The eastern area experienced 36% more wildfires and 82% more acres burned. The Great Basin saw 87% more fires and more than 1,000% more acres burned. As mentioned earlier, this is the region that requested assistance from the Idaho National Guard and international fire personnel. The Northwest area was another notable region, with just 10% more fires burning 487% more acres. Northern California actually saw a slight decrease of 3% in the number of wildfires, but a 190% increase in the number of acres burned. Southern California had 22% more fires and 242% more acres burned. The Northern Rockies area had 48% more fires with 333% more acres burned. In the Rocky Mountain area, there were 77% more fires and 203% more acres burned. The southern area saw 4% fewer fires, but 192% more acres burned. The southwest area experienced 3% more fires and 10% fewer acres burned. The southwest area was the only region reporting fewer acres burned in 2024 than in 2023. Nationwide, there were 13% more fires that burned 231% more acres in 2024 than in 2023.
Watch this little lane. All revenue Gulf, back.
Lessons play a crucial role for gaining situational awareness. The Wildland Fire Lessons Learned Center's year-end infographic offers a quick snapshot of initial numbers and select lessons. The LLC's Incident Review Summary provides a more comprehensive look at the past year's interagency wildland fire-based lessons condensed into manageable excerpts and actionable follow-up exercises. The overall intent of both products is to inform consistently relevant wildland fire training and discussion. All 8 of the heavy equipment incidents from 2024 involved encounters with rocks and rocky ground. This hazard is compounded by slope. Rollovers were 4 of the incidents reported. Contingency planning around heavy equipment mishaps can be easily overlooked or oversimplified. It is important for all firefighters to know the specific hazard that rocky ground presents for equipment. Lessons from these incidents include reminders to take the time to sketch out an extraction plan as part of your risk management process. Speak up and plan accordingly when you see the combination of heavy equipment and rocky ground. 16 separate driving-related incidents were recorded. The types of vehicles involved were engines, crew carriers, UTVs, pickups, a water tender, a septic truck, and a heavy equipment transport. The incidents include 9 rollovers, 4 crashes, and 3 broken wheel studs. Broken wheel studs are a recurring issue involving a variety of makes and models. These problems are traced to issues related to lug nut tightening. In most cases, lug nuts are over-tightened, which compromises the strength of wheel studs, eventually resulting in broken wheel studs. In some cases, loose lug nuts are not noticed and can simply rattle off. It is recommended to use a system to mark lug nuts after each are torqued to the factory setting. This can be achieved with specifically designed wheel nut indicators or other forms of colorful marking, which can be a paint marker or torque seal. While not all accidents can be avoided, knowledge of how to safely operate and work around vehicles can significantly reduce the exposure to accidents and near misses. Remember, passengers also have crucial responsibilities during vehicle operations. 24 hit-by-tree incidents involving tree felling operations and non-tree felling operations were recorded in 2024. Of the 24 tree strike incidents, 21 involved serious injuries. The 3 non-injury events were vehicle strikes. The types of injuries included all of the following: broken teeth, concussion, fractured ankle, fractured facial bones, fractured hip, fractured skulls, fractured vertebrae, and loss of consciousness. Is your crew prepared to handle these injury types? Tree strikes occurred in 16 different states during training, all-hazard response, prescribed fire, project work, and fire suppression activities. Remember that tree strikes happen in a variety of locations and conditions.
Hi, I'm Erica Lamb, Publications Manager for the National Wildfire Coordinating Group. I'm excited to announce that the 2025 NWCG Incident Response Pocket Guide, the IRPG, is now available. Major changes that you'll see in the 2025 Pink IRPG are the removal of the Haynes Index and lightning activity level. Instead, we've moved to information on in-your fire weather forecast, assessing the potential for lightning activity, and the impacts of mixing heights. We've modernized the language on the chainsaw operations pages to include key indicators of complexity as well as standards for chainsaw operations. The final place that you'll see changes in this year's IRPG are on the UAS pages. We've added in key considerations as well as language on aerial ignitions. The 2025 IRPG is available to order from the Great Basin Cache or electronically at nwcg.gov. And the Spanish translation will be out in both of those places shortly. Have a safe fire season, everyone.
Standard Firefighting Order Number 1 states, keep informed on fire weather conditions and forecast. As of February 1st, 2025, the Haynes Index and Lightning Activity Level, or LAL, will be removed from all fire weather forecasts across the United States. This includes planning or zone fire weather forecasts, spot fire weather forecasts, and forecasts included within Incident Action Plans or IAPs. Haynes Index and LAL will be removed from all NWCG training materials, including Incident Response Pocket Guides. There are several reasons for the removal of these two products. Both the Haynes Index and the LAL are currently being used and produced in ways that were never intended. The Haynes Index is unsupported by research in predicting large plume-dominated fire growth. It is not a metric of atmospheric instability, and it was never designed to be a daily forecast product. The LAL is based on limited data from one specific geographic location and was never intended to be used as is for all locations across the United States. It was developed as an observation aid, not a forecast product. Combining two or more atmospheric processes, such as the Haynes Index and LAL, is misleading and may mask important underlying processes that can influence fire behavior. For example, during the 30-mile run of the Bear Fire in 2020, the fire produced a pyrocumulonimbus cloud and associated fire-generated tornadic vortex, as described in the Bulletin of the American Meteorological Society. The Haynes Index, in this case, was only a 4, observed nearby in Reno, Nevada. The strong winds not included in Haynes Index, in addition to favorable wind and slope alignment and fuel loading, likely contributed to the development of the column. Relying on one number can mask the potential of an extreme event, and it is therefore imperative to be mindful of the total fire environment. Moving forward, the discussion section of fire weather forecasts will contain information on atmospheric instability when appropriate. The LAL is currently a duplicate product within the fire weather forecast. The potential for lightning can be assessed from the sky weather section of the forecast in terms of the probability or coverage of thunderstorms. Thunderstorm probability can be used in conjunction with the chance of wetting rain or other forecast precipitation thresholds to assess potential for dry lightning. S290 was recently revamped, with revisions to S390 underway to reflect the most updated science and understanding of fire weather, including the removal of the Haynes Index and LAL. There is room for customization of elements in fire weather forecasts beyond the mandatory elements of temperature, relative humidity, and wind. National Weather Service, weather forecast offices, and local firefighting personnel should have an ongoing dialogue of what fire weather forecast elements work best for their area and needs. Ongoing research seeks to better understand the relationship between atmospheric instability and potential wildfire growth. The Haynes Index was developed in 1988, and current technologies, including improved weather modeling, far surpass what could be done at that time. Experimental weather forecast systems are currently being used to forecast lightning probability and density. Once these tools become sufficiently studied and vetted, we will likely incorporate the lightning information into the suite of forecast products to improve situational awareness. We fully understand that these are big changes to the fire weather forecast suite of products. We also recognize that the Haynes Index and lightning activity level may currently be used within fire danger operating plans or for other planning or operational decisions. Please work closely with your National Weather Service Fire Weather Program managers to address these potential impacts. Years of thought and research by the NWCG Fire Environment Committee and Fire Weather Subcommittee went into making these decisions. Numerous interagency wildland fire research and operational personnel were consulted about the removal of the Haynes Index and LAL. Specifically, Don Haynes, the scientist who created the Haynes Index, was adamant that the Haynes Index should not be used in operational fire weather forecasts, and it was being utilized well outside its intent and capability. The NWCG Executive Board and the National Weather Service fully support the decision for removal. For more information on the reasoning behind the removal of Haynes Index and the lightning activity level, please visit the NWCG Fire Weather Committee webpage.
Yeah, copy.
As firefighters and fire managers, our roles are as dynamic as fire itself. It is up to each of us to equip ourselves with the knowledge and skills we need to remain effective.
I think over the courses of our careers, we've seen a positive evolution towards a very professional firefighting environment, from the airspace on down to the ground, which is great. If I could offer one piece of advice, it would be to be a student of your discipline. For us, we're students of aviation. If you're on an engine, be a student of hydraulics. If you're on a crew, a student of collaboration. But to constantly better ourselves and continually improve, we have to look at history and mold the future.